Okay, your PSAT, SAT is this week, right? And Isaac is taking it. Who else is taking it? Jacob. Um, Anybody is planning on taking this year? Well, most of junior are taking this year, right? Okay. So you're gonna see some of those transformation stuff on the test. Um, but ideally, the more we go over things, we're gonna talk about SAT stuff related how is what I'm teaching related to SAT. Some homework question, I'm gonna issue some SAT question for you guys to see to get more exposure on that. And at least I like to believe, um, if you do things right in this class, ideally your SAT score should improve somewhere between 50 points to 150 points. Should. Now, are we able to cover all that stuff before next week? No. So ideally, we at first time we taking this, like Isaac is taking the next week. This week is probably not gonna improve a whole lot right away. But when we go through all the stuff in algebra 1 and algebra 2, exponential function, those are gonna be happen a lot. So just be patient. Ideally, it should get better. Now I'm gonna go talk about composite function. So what is composite function? So, all right, turn it on. It doesn't see my iPad, which is weird. Come on, show up. Oh, there's. All right. Times that. Wait a minute. Okay, so what is composite functions, right? But let's talk about function operation first. And what are the notations? So function operation. Now, why do I have a function notation? Do you guys know why do we have f of x? Imagine like this, right? Imagine I have y equal to 3x plus 2. And that y equal to 5x minus, I don't know, 7. Something like this. But let's talk about why do we have function operation? We can say, well, when x equal to 2, what is y? Now, here's a problem. Is it going to be very vague, right? Is it when x equal to 2, what is y? Now, I have two functions there, y equal to 3x plus 2, y equal to 5x minus 7. So what would be your answer? What? First one's 8. Second one's 3. And you're going to be like, well, Mr. Ye, that's kind of ambiguous. You did not tell me which function is it. You did not tell me y, the first y or the second y, right? Then I have two answers. I don't know which one's the right answer. So ideally, we have to create a different notation so we can differentiate which y we're talking about. So ideally, we can say, well, f of x is equal to 3x plus 2 now, and g of x equal to 5x minus 7. Now I can say, well, I want to find out f of 2 is. What is f of 2? It's going to be 8 because you're going to plug in the first equation because you know, like I'm dealing the input into the f function rather than g function. So this is why we establish a function notations. So that way you can say that's 3 times 2 plus 2, and that's equal to, I don't know, 8, right? I can say g of -4, then I can plug in -4 into the first function or second function. It'll be a second function. So it'll be 5 times -4 minus 7, so it's going to be minus 27. So that way we can differentiate which one is. And that's why we have function notation. I feel like a lot of teacher doesn't address you why. We just tell you this is. We don't tell you like, why do we need to use this? Why do we use function notation? Okay. So there are a lot of function operations. So let's talk about operation. Function notation. So function notation. So they are f of x plus g like this. This just means f of x plus g of x. This is called sum. And you have f minus g of x. That's going to be f of x minus g of x. Now you got to be careful. You have to distribute the, make sure you distribute the negative sign though. So make sure distribute negative sign. Okay. Now what are the other one? F dot g. That means f of x times g of x. F over g of x, like this, that means f of x over g of x. Now this one has something special. G of x cannot equal to 0. If it equal to 0, it's no longer a function. So you can f over g is equal to f of x over g of x. Now here is this. Now let's just go to the same one. So I'm going to copy and paste here. I'm going to copy. I'm going to paste. I'm going to say, oh, okay, well, I want you to find out what's f minus g of x, like this. Why did I straight go to minus? Because minus is what people make mistake. G of x usually not make mistake. So we know that f minus g of x, that just means f of x minus g of x. And that just means 3x plus 2 minus 5x minus 7. And that's going to be 3x plus 2. And usually people forgot to distribute a negative sign. This is going to be minus 5x plus 7. And that's negative 2x plus 9. So this is f minus g of x. Is that okay? Should be pretty straightforward. It's not something hard. Can you tell me what's f dot g of x here? Dot g of x. Dot means what? Multiplying. Now there's a difference between dot and of, because we're going to talk about of, which is a composite function. Something of something. So what's f dot g of x? Should be pretty easy. That just means f of x. Write it out. Write out the right hand part. Right? Write it out. Just say that's f of x times g of x. And then it's f of x is going to be 3x plus 2 times 5x minus 7. You can distribute it if you want to. In this case, it's going to be 15x squared minus 21x plus 10x minus 14. And that's equal to 15x squared minus 11x minus 14. Is that complicated? It should be very straightforward. You learn this in Algebra 1. So let me ask you, what does this mean? What does this mean? Yeah. F of G, F dot G of 2. Plug in 2 into which equation?
The answer of the equation.
So does it matter? This is the thing. So assume that we plug in the 2 at very beginning. There's one way is easier than the other way, because imagine that you distribute this, right? And you plug in 2, right? So imagine that we already know there's a 15 x squared minus 11x minus 14, and we plug in 2, right? So that's going to be 15 times 4 minus 22 minus 14. That's equal to 60 minus 22 minus 14. What is it? 24 maybe? I think it's 24. Right?
Yeah.
So I can find out f dot g of x. I can plug in. Or I can do this. f2 dot g of 2. I think this was easier. Why? I can plug in 2 at very beginning. That's going to give me 8, right? And plug in 2 is going to be 3. And the answer is going to get 24. Regardless which way is it, I think this way is better if you have asking for evaluation. I will plug in at very beginning and just times those two functions together. I think this way is easier because what if you simplify wrong and you plug in 2, you plug in the wrong equation, it's actually not good. You see what I'm saying? So make sure that if I ask you evaluation, that means parenthesis inside is going to be a number. Then I'm going to plug in a number first, and now just multiply two functions together after evaluation. I think it's going to be quicker. Okay, so yes? Somebody had a question? Okay. I'm just going to start with some easy one. So we're going to name this f. F of x equal to 2x squared minus 1. And g of x is equal to 3x plus 5, right? And we say, hey, can you tell me what's f minus g of x? And can you tell me what's f dot g of x? And can you tell me what is f dot f of 2? Okay, so I want you to tell me, wait, hold on. First one, oh, this is dot, sorry. So can you tell me all three?
Option is right?
The last one's f dot f. I can have same function times same function. And I can write down another function called h of x. We're gonna name this the h of x, and we're gonna ask you another question. So we're gonna have to connect the functions and graph, and you're gonna learn to how to interact with each other. So let's start with the f minus g of x. Can you figure out what will be the expression? Now, if you have parentheses x, you're going to get some type of expression. If you got parentheses of a number, it's going to get evaluation. Evaluation is going to get some type of number. We don't know what it is, but you finish out 4. Yeah, the 4 is g minus h of -4.
Wait, which one's H?
H is a graph.
Um,
H is not a function. Well, H is a function, but it's in terms of graph. Start with the first one. First one should be easy. Everybody should get that. If you get it wrong, let me know because I would like to help you. This one just means f of x minus g of x. Is that okay? Is that okay? And then that means 2x squared minus 1 minus 3x plus 5. Did you distribute a negative sign? So it'd be 2x squared minus 1 minus 3x minus 5 rather than positive 5. So then you should get 2x squared minus 3x minus 6. Does everybody get that? Should be easy, right? Did anybody did not get it? Raise your hand if you didn't. And I'll let you know where it could be improved. The problem is distributing negative sign. Okay, second one. It says f of x dot g of x. This means 2x squared minus 1 times 3x plus 5. And now you're just going to distribute. So that's going to give you 6x to the cube plus 10x squared minus 3x minus 5. Did everybody get that? It's no problem, right? Is this okay? Now, what's f dot f? Well, f dot f, or this time it's just basically they say it's evaluation 2. So that means f of 2 times f of 2. Well, what's f of 2? 7, so it'll be 7 times 7, right? That's equal to 49. Is that okay? Now the last one. You're like, hey, I never seen this one before. How come the function is going to be a graph? It doesn't really matter because it's asking evaluation. So this means g of -4 minus h of -4. Now, guys, what is h of -4? That means when x value is 1, 2, 3, 4, here it's going to be 2. So that means this one is g of -4, which is, we know, g of -4 is going to be 12 plus 5, right? No, actually, negative 12 plus 5. So it'll be 7 minus, this one's going to be 2. Why is 2? Because this value 2. So that's equal to 5. So the notation, so the graphing could be as a function as well. Do you guys understand how it worked now? Oh, is it -7?
Yeah.
My bad, it's -7. So that's -9, right? Thank you. My fault. Yes.
How'd you find G again?
I plug in -4 into this equation
Oh, okay.
because that's G, right?
Yeah.
Anybody's lost? Yes.
Can you explain H over X?
H of -4? Okay, h of -4, that basically means this. What happened at -4? What is the output? The y is the output. The output is going to be 2. Does that make sense? Because that means when x equal to -4 at the h function, what will be the y value? So the y value, reading the graph is 2, so you just say that's 2. So sometimes they can be graphing as represents a function. Okay, so now we're going to go talk about harder one. We only have 9 minutes to talk about this, or 8 minutes now. This one's actually pretty difficult. It's not difficult, but it's this. F of g of x. Now, this is not times. Okay. This means of. Of means parenthesis. And this parenthesis is also known of. So in this case, this represents f of g and then of. So this means f of g of x. You guys should study this before from last year, from Algebra 2. It's called composite function. Your teacher probably says a bulk f of g, so it's called f of g. It's a bulk function, and it can be a golf function. So let's start with something that's easy. Or let's do this. Let's do another one. G. It can be g of, so now this is of f of x. That's just mean g is outside of. Every time you see parenthesis of, it's a parenthesis. F of x, like this. This is called composite function. Let's start something easy. So if today I have f of x equal to 2x squared minus 5, I'm going to tell you the second reason why they have function notation. So at this case, I say, hey, can you find f of x minus 2? If f of x is equal to 2x squared minus 5, what is f of x minus 2? So pay attention what I'm doing, because that's, if I don't have enough time, I'm replacing the x with x minus 2 on f of x. You're going to be like, what the hell does that mean? That's okay. If you don't understand, is what's f of x here? It's 2x squared minus 5, right? Instead of x, so usually 2 something squared minus 5. Instead of the x, we replace as x minus 2. That's it. That's called function notation. I can replace this expression as an x. Not only I can replace a number, I can replace as expressions. And then you can say, oh, okay, that's pretty easy. I'll just expand them. So it'll be x minus 2 times x minus 2. 2. Please do not say it's x squared minus 4. That's wrong. So that's going to be 2 times x squared minus 4x plus 4 minus 5. That's equal to 2x squared minus 8x plus 8 minus 5. So it's plus 3. And that's the final thing. Okay, I'll give you a try. Now, there's a second reason why we have function notation. First reason is to differentiate which function. Second reason is to understand the transformation, right? So I'm going to show you f of x. What do we say f of x is equal to? F of x is equal to 2 what? 2x squared minus 5. Now imagine if I just do f of what? X, what do we say? X minus 2?
Yeah.
What does it do? It just translates. But it's a new function though. But it just translates. That's it. So second reason why you have function notation to understand transformation a lot easier. So two reasons. One reason is to replace, to differentiate between f of x and g of x. Second reason to see the transformation, what happened to the graph, right? So here's the thing. What if my f of x equal to 3x squared minus 2 and g of x is equal to 4x minus 1? And we say, can you tell me what's f of g of x in this case? Well, first of all, I'll write down the notation. The proper notation is like this. F. Every time I see a of, that means parenthesis. And this means g of x. Did I lose anybody? Everybody understand before I go further? Good? Okay, what is g of x in this case? 4x minus 1. So that's going to be f of 4x minus 1. Now, what's f of function? Well, f of function is usually is 3x squared minus 2. I'm going to write down parentheses instead of like x because I'm going to replace that x with something else. What do we replace it with? 4x minus 1. Yep. And then you can expand this and you can simplify. And that's it. That's called function notation. Next year, you're going to get x plus h, right? You're going to plug in and you're going to find derivative. Yeah, that's next year. But right now, we just replace one function with another function. Okay, I'm going to give you a new function. Is that okay? So let's just say f of x equal to negative 2x squared plus 3. And g of x is equal to 2x minus 1. And I says, hey, can you tell me what's g of f of x? And can you tell me what's f of g of negative 2? So you're going to tell me two different ones here. And check each other before you leave. 2x squared plus 3 and g of x is equal to 2x minus 1.
Thanks for another great Titan day. Students, you are now dismissed.
Okay, I'm gonna do it really quick. If you can leave if you want to. I know some of you guys have bus, but basically g, and you can watch a video if you need it. So g of f of x, so that's gonna be f of x is gonna be negative 2x squared plus 3. So that means usually it will be 2 parentheses minus 1. But in this case, I'm going to replace that as negative 2x squared plus 3. So that's equal to negative 4x squared plus 6 minus 1, so plus 5. Is that okay? Now, what is this one? This one's kind of interesting because we can f of g of negative 2. Can I find out what g of negative 2 first? Yeah. What's g of negative 2? Well, I'm going to do it on the side. G of negative 2 equal to 2 times the negative 2 minus 1. So that's going to give you what? Negative 5. So that's going to be f of negative 5. And then I'll go replace the negative 2 times the negative 5 squared plus 3. Because I'm going to go negative 2 x squared plus 5. So it'll be negative 2 times 25 plus 3. So that's equal to negative 50 plus 3 is equal to negative 47.
That's right there. I got
Mia,
Mr. Can I send you a picture of my homework so I can,
next time you gotta bring it to me.
does that take off? But I got like I
You had to be responsible. Sorry, but it's not gonna take too many points off.
okay.
You really want to switch out?